And when he came over to play with me and Chris and Pat, I realized, oh my God, now I have the beginning of the movie, and now I have the end of the movie. Like, what a wonderful finale to, and what I said about that full circle moment, I mean, even if there weren't fucking cameras there, that would have been one of the most incredible days of my life, because, I mean, you can imagine, honestly, if it weren't for Paul McCartney, I wouldn't fucking be here right now. I just wouldn't. So for me to be able to play with him and Chris and Pat, and we hadn't jammed like that since we were at Nirvana. And for real, it was 3 hours into the day before I just kind of went, oh my God, we were Nirvana. How weird. So it was pretty magical. And the fact that he brought the bass, his Hofner bass, like it was right there, and then his 59 Les Paul was right there. And he walks in and decides to play the fucking cigar box guitar.
yeah, tell us about that.
Well, there's a guy in the San Fernando Valley, this guy, Matty Barato, and he's a luthier, guitar tech guy. And he makes these guitars, they're called sig fiddles. He makes them out of old cigar boxes. So you could bring an old cigar box to him and he'll put a bridge on it and an old mandolin neck, and they're cool. They sound really good. So Paul was given that as a present, I think, the night before. And he just thought it was so cool. The amp, it was great too. The amp was this little speaker built into an old wooden case of wine, like a wine case. So you got a cigar box guitar and his wine case amplifier, and it fucking rips, man. It sounded so good. But the fact that he decided that he wanted to play that says a lot about him as a musician, but also about his generation of musicians. Like, one of the reasons why the Beatles and the Stones and Cream and all those people, Hendrix and the Who, they were daring musicians. They were willing to do something that they had never done before, no one had done before. They were willing to take risks and stuff. Which is really inspiring. He didn't just pick up the bass and say, okay, let's play, come together. He wanted to do something that had never been done before, and you'd imagine that those older guys would never do something crazy and rad, but in all honesty, the older guys, they're fucking crazier and more rad. So I'm proud that, hey, the Butthole Surfers are my generation's, Pink Floyd, but no one can out-weird the original dudes.
So some of us bottle rockers went to see the Stones last night with a mission of trying to talk them into coming back to Napa with us. They had a couple off nights, and I gotta say, they're really fucking old and so fucking awesome. It was great. 2.5 hours, no opener, just ripped it up. But I wanted to, I don't need to steal your thunder. These people want to ask you real questions. I wanted to tell you about that thing. Have you heard of Bottlerock? You've heard of Bottlerock, right? Yeah. So there's this, speaking of weird old dudes.
That is a weird guitar.
Yeah. There's a guitar and that amp. My father and his hippie friend built this barrel amp. Can we turn it on?
It's so cool.
So it's, turn it on. Will you strike a chord in anger?
Oh yeah, of course.
Where are you, Dad?
Right here.
And Dwight? We may or may not have a successful festival in year one, but we're all doing it together. All these people in Napa are doing it.
I have to say that when I saw online that there was going to be a festival here, a rock festival, and when I first saw, really, a rock festival in Napa? How's that going to work? It's so nice and pretty, and the people are cool, And then I saw the lineup, and I was just like, Jesus Christ! So, if the Foos weren't on hiatus right now, Pat Smear calls it I hate us. That's what he calls it. But if you guys can make it through your first year, then I promise you that the Foo Fighters will come out. All right. So Dave, I think I told you, and I've mentioned it to a lot of these people. We've got 26 different nonprofits involved in this, and one of the most important ones is Autism Chords. So if you would put your name on this 1974 Gibson, we're going to put it in the auction for Autism Chords.
Grohl.
So we're going to take some questions now. There's some mics out here. Let's see if we can get some mics. I got a guy right down here in front.
Well, now I can see people. Okay, here, you want me just to go for it? Okay. Standing up, man.
Hey Dave, I assume you did a lot of jams on Nirvana tracks on the Sound City board while you were there. Is there any chance of that seeing the light of day in the not so distant future?
Of which stuff?
Nirvana tracks from Nevermind.
Well, it's funny, when we went to go make Nevermind, we didn't have extra songs. We had Nevermind. So, we're coming up on anniversary, there's like the 20th anniversary of Nevermind. Everyone's looking for like additional content, and there's just not a lot of stuff, because those were about the only songs that we could really write, but yeah, I mean, sure. This was like an hour and a half ago, wasn't it? How the fuck did you pull that off? I guess not. Oh yeah. Big guy in the back, you.
Am I the big guy?
You're a pretty big guy.
So, 22 years ago.
Okay, hold on one second. If you let me pick the guys, I'll go for it. It'll go quick, I promise.
22 years ago, you guys were on SNL
Yeah.
in dresses.
Yes.
And there was a man-on-man kiss.
Yeah.
That was revolutionary.
I'm glad that some people think that. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, one of the things that we wanted to represent, we were the antithesis of a lot of that, like, bullshit heavy metal,
Jock rock.
and the homophobic jock rock, because we truly grew up in a community, in the underground community, where everybody was different and everybody was cool, and that's what was so great about it. So when Nirvana first became I used to get fucking chased around my neighborhood in Virginia with people calling me a fag, because I listened to punk rock. So then all of a sudden I'm in the biggest fucking band in the world, like.
Everyone is dead.
Yeah.
And so, thank you. And how do you think things have changed in the 22 years since then? I mean, it's big time changes.
Like musically, or?
Musically, sociologically.
Well, that was such a great time in the 90s, in the early 90s, because there seemed to be like this rebirth of idealism, or something. Like they didn't feel so restricted anymore. They didn't feel so compartmentalized. It was more cool. It was okay to be weird, and it was okay to sound like a band in a garage or whatever. And it still is. I mean, that was a really exciting time. I have kids. I have 2 daughters, and they're great. They're super fun, and I look at them, and I can't wait till they fucking dye their hair blue. I until they start doing all the stupid shit that I did when I was young. Because I feel like you have to really try to experience everything before you decide, before you really become, the person that you are, or whatever. So, I don't want to talk about kids. Get a record player. I'll tell you a funny quick story. My kids, someone gave me the Beatles box set. The vinyl box set came out. It's awesome. It's fucking huge. It's great. So I bring it home, and I've already brainwashed my kids. They love the Beatles. And I got them Yellow Submarine because I thought, oh, it's a cartoon. And then they got so into it, and they just started singing all the songs, and then I had to explain to them that there's more than one Beatles record. You know that, right? There's more. There was a White Album. I got Abbey Road. So I come home with this box set. Wow, what is that? And I said, they're the records. I'm like, cool. So I got the turntable and I put it in Violet's room, and I said, okay, here's how you do it. You take it out of the sleeve. You don't scratch it. Put it on, and because it was this new experience where she was watching it turn, and she was holding the album in her hands, and she was reading lyrics, and there were posters and shit. And I left the room, and I came back half an hour later, and she's like dancing to get back, and all the records are all over the floor. So it's the exact same experience that we all had when we were kids, but today. And so, the world changes and technology changes. But honestly, kids are fucking kids, man. So she was experiencing this just as I did 40 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the other day, her friends came over, and she couldn't wait to show them the record player. So her friends come over, and she's playing the beat, and I go in the beat. They're all over the fucking floor again. And her friend Michael, his dad, comes over to pick him up. And he says, hey, Dad, can we get a record player? And I was like, got one, man. So, I swear to God. And this year vinyl sales were up the highest since 1997. So, there we go. So, it's pretty awesome that I think the experience is something special. I'm deaf as a post, so don't ask me any questions about audiophile bullshit. I can't hear anything for real. But the actual experience of having music in a way that's tactile or tangible, it goes a long way with kids. It's really cool. Yes, you.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Dave. I appreciate everything that you've done. The whole music industry, I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan. My daughter and my nephew are now a huge Foo Fighters fan because of me, because I've made them listen to everything that you've done.
Brainwashing, it works.
Yeah, brainwashing works. But I want to thank you for everything that you've done for that. But I think the main thing is they have really just bringing the albums home and playing it for them getting so into it, taking it home and sharing it with all their friends and stuff. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you. I want to know what this experience has taught you in moving forward with your different projects and stuff. What kind of impact has that made for you?
Well, jamming, one of the
moving forward.
Sorry.
Yeah, we get it.
I'm done now.
I love you, man. One of the great things about playing with other people is playing with lots of other people, is that you learn from each person that you play with. And no two musicians play the same. So if you're jamming with Paul, that's different than jamming with Lee Bing, which is different than jamming with Josh or Trent, whatever. So it's a shame that a lot of people look at musicians like they're characters in a fucking sitcom or something. You know, like, how can someone from Happy Days hang out with someone from, you know, Starsky and Hutch? Like, that doesn't work. So, as a musician, like, I look at, you know, why doesn't the drummer of U2 start a side project with the fucking bass player of Led Zeppelin? Like, it would be great. But a lot of people don't really do that. And I think that it's important for musicians. I think it's important for everybody to get together with everybody and just go for it, jam. So after doing something like this, I mean, you're totally inspired because you just got to jam with your heroes. But more than that, you've kind of grown a little bit as a musician because you've experienced all these different ways of playing with other people. So, plus I have a board now. So it's pretty good. Yes, in the front row. Yes. Hold on 1 second, man.
So, I just wanted to know, you're like honestly one of my role models, like what your advice would be for an aspiring artist to get in touch with more of that like human primal sound rather than the kind of new age auto-tune.
You know, I think, like, honestly, it's weird. As a musician, you want to be great. Like, you want to be good. And you sort of set these funny expectations for yourself, you know? One of the funniest things that Fogerty ever said to me, he was like, yeah, I was learning to play the drums, but I realized that I would never be as good as John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, so I stopped. And I'm like, who is as good as John? Nobody. Like, what the